Welcome to Backstory and Beyond with your host, Ward Kampf, seeker, innovator, and president of Northwood Retail. As Ward travels the country, he'll share the industry insights he's gained over a 3 decades-long retail career, introduce you to trailblazing business leaders and disruptive founders, and uncover the real deal about some of the greatest cities in the world. This week, Ward sits down with Jacqueline Fitch-Little, Senior Vice President of Retail Leasing at Northwood Retail and Principal of Merch. They'll introduce Jack's new affiliate retail leasing consulting business, share the keys to building long-lasting retail relationships, and predict the retail trends that will dominate 2025. All that and more on this episode of Backstory and Beyond.
I'm here in LA today with Jacqueline Fitch-Little, Senior Vice President of Northwood Retail. She's principal and founder of Merch, which is a specialty retail consulting firm within the Northwood platform. Welcome, Jacqueline.
So honored to be here. Finally get to sit in the seat.
One of the pleasures of having you here today and visiting with you, not only we spent the last 14 or 15 years together, is to talk about what the magic is that you bring and share it with people. And I'm grateful for that we can share your vision and how you view it. So we're glad to have you here and glad to talk about your backstory and your growth. And then, what's the new frontier for you? And so let's just walk back to the beginning. You got in this business 17, 18 years ago. And then we met around 2010 in Scottsdale and worked together. But, let's kind of hear it from you. You grew up in wine country.
Grew up in wine country. Family was in the industry. Ran around the vineyards, not knowing really what they produced, right? Had a little wine glass at 2. And then I became Miss Sonoma County and went on to Miss California. And I was the youngest competitor in the beauty pageant circuit. I was a singer, now just in the shower and at my wedding, but really grew up just with in the most wonderful, beautiful place, and then wanted to move on to kind of bigger and brighter things and found myself at ASU, go Devils. I got out of school. I went to school for sports broadcasting, worked for ESPN, then found my way to you. Yeah.
I think the funny thing about that is, you do talk about your college experience. You did the sideline reporter, and I remember back when you really looked at resumes, physical resumes versus emailed, and I went right to the bottom and it said ESPN, and I think that's what separated you from the pack is you could have gone and done that, and I thought that was, those are the things that pop off the screen. That grabbed my attention. I went directly to the bottom of the page. So
I think working in a restaurant too, I, helped put myself through school. Moving to Arizona, part of the deal was if we're going to pay out-of-state tuition, you're going to help. And I'm so much better for that.
I agree.
It's working in the restaurant industry. When we hire, seeing people who have those people skills and who know tough work and grit really means something.
So I think, Jacqueline, you have an innate ability to be able to converse with an 8-year-old or an 80-year-old or a 25-year-old. It's a very unusual skill. You're able to build relationships in this business, and then you really pride yourself on focusing on the person. And so just speak to that. No one that I know can be friends with my daughter and my wife, and there's a wide...
They're so easy to be friends with.
Wide range of ages, but be able to converse in both their worlds.
Well, I'm obsessed with your daughter and your wife. And you've taken me in like family too. You're amazing with that. But thoughtfulness and kindness are free. Sunsets are free. There's not a lot in life anymore that's free. And so when you pick up the phone, and I try to teach this and mentor this through our company, and you get to speak to someone, you never know what kind of day they're having, right? And so the first thing I always ask, and my husband makes so much fun of me because sometimes he hears me talk at home, is I'm always like, how are the kids? How's your wife? How's your husband? How was summer break? And so, to me, it comes from the heart. I think it's endearing Also, if you're having tougher conversations, which we do in our industry from time to time, it diffuses a situation too. But listen, my grandma had 250 people at her funeral, and we were like, who are all of these people here? And I am telling you, it was the lady in the drive-thru at Jack in the Box that she saw, and it was the guy at Albertsons that she saw at the grocery store. She just touched so many lives. And if I can carry on a legacy like that, the world will be better for it.
People are always wanting to take. And I think the best people are the people that have the most success are willing to share.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people think, well, I'm certainly not going to share what I know. And I think you get a lot of calls where people say, what do you see? What do you hear, et cetera? And I think you're on the front line and you can tell, you know?
I have kind of a 48-hour to 72-hour rule. We travel a lot. You and I are on the road a ton, but I always call everyone back. If it's not today, it'll be tomorrow. If it's not tomorrow, it's the next day. But I really implement a 72-hour rule with our team as well. I'm also like very secure with my relationships, and they're amazing. And I wouldn't be sitting here without them today. So I'm so beyond grateful for them. But if you're confident in what you do, which I am, like, I'm happy to share whatever.
Well, and I think that's where you get your edge. You know, you're known for seeing what's next. And I think it goes back to being in Scottsdale, and there was this new wave of tenants, you know, the dry bars of the world. Mm-hmm. And, you know, you were very, very instrumental in driving a lot of the newness, a lot of the DTC brands, but you saw the world shifting from the tried and true Victoria's Secret type tenants to this services, goods, DTC brands.
I just think seeing's believing, right? And you can't be scared. You've got to get out there. You've got to pick up the phone. Yep, my first boss always said you have to listen to someone's heartbeat, and you can't do that over email. Doing Dry Bar, doing Kendra Scott, right? Finding Kendra, her first store. She came and had dinner with us, remember? You know, it really shows in the relationships that we have with the retailers we have, just to be able to call them friends. I'm more grateful for that than ever having really done a deal with them, right? They're my friends.
And, you know, look at Kendra.
She's done amazing, and she is very giving as well, very thoughtful. But even Goriana, you know, Jason and Goriana, they're absolutely amazing, and they're so kind.
Right. I think one thing you're good at, you were a phone first. I always said you could get the president on the line faster than anyone I know, and you could have found Osama bin Laden within 2 days. And I'm convinced of that because of your phone skills, the tenacity to get someone on the phone and hear yes or no, or maybe, or we're somewhat interested. To rare, you know, it was rare 15 years ago. It's super rare today where people just pick the phone up, have a real conversation, not, hey, do you want to buy from me, or do you want to lease from me? You pick the phone up, you build the relationship.
You always talk about teams, right? And so when my 49ers were doing good, or the Warriors, you know, the Golden Knights, they all eat together, right? Those teams eat together. They break bread together. They hang out together. They go do things together. And I think it's really, really important. So whatever city I'm in, I'm always so lucky I have friends in those cities. Most of them happen to be in our industry. Just picking up the phone and saying, hey, you want to meet for a drink, or do you want to go to dinner, means something, right? We have our cabana party in Las Vegas, and we get to see all of our friends. And it's not even really about making deals. It's about connecting with people. And a lot of great deals, Skims, for example, came out of that party.
Yeah. The way you conduct business is different than a lot of other people. You go to New York City having 7 to 10 meetings in a day, 3 days in a row, and then walking out of there just wiped out. But you
have to pick us up off the floor.
But you go in there and you stir it up. You get the energy going. I think, you know, one thing I've seen, and I saw Jeff Bezos speak 2 days ago. He said positivity is the most important thing in moving forward. And I think you're one of the most positive people. And he said that's a real debilitating thing for people not to be positive and not to be scared at doing stuff.
Yeah.
You know, so
I just think we're so lucky we get to wake up every day. Our feet get to hit the floor, right? I mean, I always say, when you think you have it bad, someone else has it worse. And I actually hate that saying. I wish nobody had it worse. But yeah, I lead my life very positively. And I always try to find some sort of silver lining, whether it be a plane delay or something that happens. I probably wasn't meant to take off for an hour or so.
And then just on organization, where did that come from? Because, people don't know how organized that.
Well, we
Jacqueline
couldn't
is.
do what we do if we weren't organized, right? Being organized in college was something that was huge for me. I had to be organized, right? I was working nights and I was going to school during the day. And so I'd come home really tired from McCormick and Schmick's in the Biltmore. I cocktail waitress there. And I'd come home and I'd be so tired, but I'd have to write papers, right? And I'm not a procrastinator. Like, procrastination is not my thing. I'm a planner. And so being organized was just a way of life. My mom and dad are really organized as well. They're Virgos. And so Virgos innately are organized. But one of the nicest compliments I ever got was actually from Mike Ebert at Red. When I left Red to come be with you, Mike pulled me in his office and he said, "You're going to go far in life because you're really organized." And so those are like the things that stick with you in life, where if this man who's a little quieter, very well respected around town, a wonderful human being, if he says you're going to go far in life, you probably are.
So you've made a very, very big career, but the fundamental, I would say, background of what you've done the last 15 years, you were always the first mover. You've brought 85 First to the market. Kendra Scott in the DTC world, away luggage, you've always seen it differently than everyone else. And there were times people were like, well, we need the Foot Lockers of the world or whatever. And you're like, that's not the direction where retail's headed.
Yeah. I think growing up in the Bay Area, where there's a lot of technology, right? The birth of Apple, the birth of Facebook, the birth of Google. So I was around a lot of technology pretty young. I also feel like creating something very different in these projects, giving the community something. I think you and I saw that at Quarter, like with the quad, getting to see families just having fun outside, smiles on people's faces, really is like, I wish I was curing cancer. I'm not, but I can help put smile on people's faces with the environments that we create. And so seeing new technology and understanding when I got to Austin, which was like Silicon Hills, right? That's what they call Austin now. And there's so much technology there. It's crazy every year, more and more. But giving Austin really something it deserves. Austin was a lot like wine country in the fact that it's very community driven, community first. And so it was helpful to kind of go back to my roots of my childhood and understand the technology piece with the community piece and that first to market piece, giving Austin what it deserves.
But you also do a lot of research, whether it's
I do,
internet, Instagram, Women's World Daily, walking the streets, traveling to cities to see these things.
I think if you want to be the best at your game, you got to be at the top of your game. I'm a huge Jerry Rice fan. They always said he was the first person in the weight room and the last person out. He was there at 5 a.m. at practices because he wanted to be the best, and he in history is the best. And so I think that's really important. If you want to be the greatest, you have to act like the greatest. I love fashion. I also really like to shop. I tricked my husband when we first met and said, I have to buy these things. And he caught on for about 2 years. Now he's over my game. He's like, no, you don't have to shop every day. But I think really understanding the brands, I love what's happening overseas right now. I was kind of a first adopter to Zimmermann, which is an Australian brand. And I wore a lot of that for our wedding. North Park is going to do their first store outside of London. I love Courget's, like out of Paris. Love, love, love. I think they're really having a moment. And they're actually an older brand that originated in Paris and kind of came back onto the scene. So really just keeping an eye out for those things. It's happening I tell our team, it's happening all around you. You just have to be aware of what's happening.
Being in cities, dynamic cities, San Diego, Phoenix, Austin, Charlotte, Nashville. Always used to be New York or LA, but they're finding out there's this vast land out there, where they
what people don't know about you is you're a real fashionista. You're the shopper in the family.
Yeah. I will vouch for that. Well, it's back to what you said. If you want to be great, you've got to be able to understand the brands, what you like or what you see.
And you stay on top of it too. Yeah.
I think it's really, really important. As far as mentorship, you've had mentors
amazing
to you, and then how you mentor young women or young men. Talk about, kind of your style. And
My first mentor was Gary Williams, who I found out recently passed away a couple months ago. So really sad. He was absolutely amazing. And, he took a shot on me. Everybody needs a shot, right? And so I was cocktail waitressing. I had big dreams of becoming a sideline reporter. At the time, ESPN was only in Bristol, Connecticut. They didn't have an LA office, a West Coast office as they do now. And I was on that track. Like that's the track I was on. And he and his wife would come in every day for happy hour and they'd have a cheeseburger and a Coke. And he said, do you like to shop? Was his first question. And I was like, of course I do. I can't afford it at all right now, And he said, do you understand how the stores in Scottsdale Fashion Square got there? And I had no clue. It was like Oz, right? When the curtain opened, I had no clue how those stores got there. So he took a shot on me. He mentored me. And then I went to Red and I had amazing mentors in Scott Rehorn, and then came to you. And I always say I've spent most of my career with you because you are a huge proponent of females in business. And that's really special to me, right? I always tell everyone, whether you're a male or female, Ward always has your back. And so we've been together for 15 years. There's a reason. I've had some phenomenal female mentors as well. Beth Bradford being one. We worked on Domain Northside with Beth. And then Beth's best friend, Karen Ballantoni, aka KB. They have really paved a way for us ladies in the industry to go do huge things. Karen was really cute. She said, I'm passing the crown. And that means more than any medal in the country when you're dealing with Beth and Karen. So I'm very fortunate. I would not be where I am today without any of you guys.
And I think it's reflective of the way you've risen to the top of your game. But I think also you do a good job mentoring. I mean, you use the same practices. You're tough where you need to be.
Yes. We correct right away. We autocorrect. Yep.
But I think you want to grow people and you got to put the time in. You can't just hire people. And I think you do a great job of teaching people. And I think they're attracted to, I'm going to learn from one of the best. That's what attracts them to work with you.
I've never been one to, don't give away too many secrets. I carte blanche with the secrets. I want Annie and Lauren and Mark to be 10 times better than I ever was. You were always so kind and introduced me to everyone. I met Lindsay Bayer through you and all the open crew. And I think it's really important as a mentor to share and overshare and, love on your people because you get it tenfold back.
I totally agree. I agree. So let's get on to merch. It's a concept that's been around for 5 to 6 years.
Yeah.
Maybe explain what is merch.
I'm so excited about it. It's a retail consulting company specializing in landlord and tenant matchmaking. I think what really differentiates merch from other businesses that are out there that do similar things is I have Northwood Retail. So I have our portfolio behind us, but I also have Northwood investors behind us too. And when we were all together and, brainstorming, being able to see different projects that we can deploy our capital into is a real game changer. And I'm not sure that anyone else in the country does it. I work coast to coast, so it's working on special projects coast to coast and being particular about who we work with. And it fits our ethos of what we do as well at Northwood Retail and Northwood Investors. And then for me, it's really defining, delivering, and implementing a leasing vision.
And it's something I think you've wanted to do. It's part of your growth, but it's also, there's been a shift in the world. Like I said, kind of around the DTC time, there were people that just focused on luxury or just focused on food or whatever. And I think you have the complete gamut from DTC to luxury to contemporary. You kind of play in all spaces. And I think that was kind of by design, but I also think it's the way to really propel this business because there were people that just did luxury or just did restaurants or just did mall. You know what I mean? It's
so they were, very
siloed.
Yes, very siloed. Well, listen, I think you and I both believe Beth Bradford was like the best at it, right? And Beth did it from the heart. Like she was a master merchandiser and she took every job on from her heart, probably too many at the end because she loved it, and seeing the passion and getting to learn from that was really important. You always said best like a sister to you, and she is like that to me now. But I don't think people come at it all the same way, and that's okay, right? There's so many different ways to come at it. But for me, it's a bit of a passion project to be able to help other landlords in our industry create the relationships that we have throughout our portfolio. And also we have a really dynamic portfolio, I think one of the best in the country. And so to be able to manage and help guide those relationships for others who we really like will be really exciting.
Well, and I think the fact you've always done the first, second, or third to do the first skim store was a big accomplishment in the world. And, hats off to them for the product they've created, and hats off to you and your relationships.
Yeah, when I first got the call, I remember calling you. It was over like Labor Day weekend.
It was
Memorial Day weekend. And I'm like, do you think this is real? Like, I was just so excited about it because I've always been a huge fan of skims. I was a first adopter of it when Kim first dropped the line. And then we were in New York and we were meeting with Deanna, the president of Alice and Olivia. And I brought up skims and she said, I love it. I wear it every day. And, even your wife and daughter wear it. So I think it's a brand that it just transcends all age groups. It's something for everybody, which is amazing. But yeah, I'm once again so grateful to the relationship that I had with Dan and now with Tara and Rob to be able to give Austin the first skim store.
To get the first shot
was
a big deal.
Yeah, it was.
Big deal. Somebody had to step up and understand it. And they were turned away by a lot of landlords because a lot of landlords didn't get it.
They didn't really understand what it was. Is it, was it part of the Kardashian effect? I'm a huge fan of the family and I hope to be like Kris Jenner one day. We all need a Kris Jenner in our life. I think she's magical. But Skims is a brand that has taken the world by storm because it's something you need. It's not something you can just get on the internet. Like you physically wear it every day. And it's very, very comfortable and it's very affordable and it's all things for all people. And I think she's done an amazing job with it.
Speaking of trends, what you've always been known for at asset management, we always gather around and the room gets real tight when Jacqueline does trends for the new year. And you've been 80% right. And in our world, that's almost perfect. So
I think quiet luxury is here to stay. It's not going away. Kate, Loewe, Laura Piana, Alaya with their flats. We're living in the 90s, which actually is making me feel a little old. Back with sequins and metallics. And, the Anthros, the J. Crews, the Abercrombies, they're back. They're having their moments. And that's exciting to see again. I think as far as jewelry goes, the Catbirds, the Kendras, the Gorianas, Missouri, and then even on a more luxury level, the Spinelli Kilcoins of the world, Irene Neuwirth, Horsebums are all having a great moment in time. And it's attainable luxury still too, which is nice. Skincare, I'm really big on skincare right now. Korean skincare. I've been using it for the past year and I've just seen so many wonderful changes in my skin and just wellness in general. So Sukoshi Mart's really neat. They're a Korean skincare like Sephora almost. And they just opened in Royal Mount in Canada and then Garden State Plaza. So I'm excited to go see their store. Elevated outerwear, with Sporty Rich and Varley, I think is huge. And Western. Bring on Lainey and Dolly. Yellow Rose, Mir and Crosby, City Boots, let's go. We're in two big country cities, right? Nashville and Austin, and it is not going anywhere. Even Legence, I wear a lot of Legence, and I love Tara, their founder. I'd love to meet her someday. She has the best energy, but even their new spring stuff is very Western driven.
As we dive into the real deal, the personal side, just thoughts, in Arizona on things you like to do.
Yeah.
Things you think are the real deals, brands you think are the real deal.
We're all going to the Global Ambassador. It's where we all meet and have a cocktail. And, if you want to see and be seen, that's where you go. And so it's really fantastic.
Food-wise in Scottsdale?
Food-wise, I'm a big Pizzeria Bianco girl. It's a little under the radar. I always know if I want something, what to bring home, and it's that. It's really good. Chris Bianco's a magician. And he goes to Italy, right? He goes there, like you said, he gets on the plane, he spends every summer there. So I love Pizzeria Bianco.
What would you say the one thing that everyone should see when they're in Phoenix or Scottsdale?
I mean, I think Sedona's magical. I love Sedona. Obviously, I had my wedding there.
The Vortex.
Yeah, there's a vortex. We got married in Seven Canyons. And I think the energy of Sedona is really powerful. If you need a rest and a recharge, head to Sedona. It's in 2 hours outside of Scottsdale, but I'm a big Sedona girl. I'm not a huge hiker, shocking, but people do love Camelback Mountain. It's gorgeous. In
Sedona, it's just one of one. It's magical.
Yeah.
When you get there and look up, when the sun's going down, it's a stunning place.
It's
and
really
then
fantastic.
Camelback is.
Oh, it's beautiful.
It's stunning. And then what's the hidden gem of Phoenix?
Me. No, I'm just kidding.
It's a great answer. Love it.
I think the hidden gem is just all the people there. I mean, we're so lucky with our connections in Arizona, and a lot of food was founded there. I don't think a lot of people know that. So that's,
I mean, you've had everyone from Sam Fox to the founders of Eddie V's, Hop Dottie. It all has kind of
come through there. Yeah.
The Master is obviously the best in class at what they do. Craig and Lauren with Postino. Yeah.
Yep.
As you think about, over the next 2 to 5 years, think about merch, think about where you are and goals for you.
Yeah. Merch is an affiliate of Northwood Retail. Right. So still working basically 2 jobs right now and happy to do it and love it and good growth for our team. But I hope someday that merch becomes so beloved by our industry that it becomes its own company within our company. Right. I'm hopeful for that. That's where, I'm a manifester, right? Manifested quarter, manifested you. So I think merch hopefully becomes its own company someday. And for me, hopefully it's, being able to go out and create more beautiful places in the community for people to come and love and see, and new developers outside of our portfolio get to understand the magic and the sparkle that we leave behind.
Get to see the sauce, the secret sauce.
Yeah.
So where do we find you on your social handles?
So you can find me and follow me at Merch Retail Consulting on the gram. And then on our webpage, our homepage, Northwood Retail, there is an icon that you can click specifically for merch.
Well, I want to thank you for taking the time. I know you're busy. I know you're going to be in New York. So I want to thank you.
Thank you for believing in me. I wouldn't be here without you.
The feeling's mutual. Look, it's a lot about trust. And I think that's what's going to take merch to the next level. And with all sincerity, best of luck. The support will be around you to make this one of the most successful specialty retail consulting businesses, not only in the U.S., but who knows, it could be in the world.
I'm so grateful to Northwood investors too for understanding the value of what merch can bring to Northwood. And I love you, buddy.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Feelings mutual.
This has been Backstory and Beyond, hosted by Ward Kampf. To learn more about Northwood Retail or the destinations from today's episode, visit backstorybeyond.com.